Right. So what do you
Okay.
think as far as what I'm seeing with my listings is the fact that like before the Super Bowl, it seemed like we saw a lot of demand, but now inventory, and we're seeing it from all across the board. I've seen realtors kind of hold their inventory until now, and they're throwing them up. So we have an uptick of inventory, but I think a lot of buyers right now realize that there's an uptick of inventory and they're kind of waiting to see what else pops up. What do you think as far as your listings? What have you been experiencing?
Yeah, I'm experiencing an increase in interest in transacting across the board with sellers and buyers. I'm noticing a lot of replacement inventory that came off the market in November, early December, and holding off from the holidays, coming back to market now. But I'm seeing in my business, at least, I'm seeing an increase in buyers and sellers' interest right now. And I'm noticing that well put together properties are performing miles better than properties that have a lot of loose ends or have issues. Right now, I'm advising my clients to put money into their properties to fix them up, physically stage them if they're vacant, and make sure they're putting their best foot forward. Because if you miss those first couple weekends on market, you could be looking at staying on market 30, 40 days, and you want to make sure you're positioned appropriately.
Well, let me ask you something. What kind of buyers are you seeing? Like, are we talking first time home buyers? Are we talking Bay Area people? Like, are we talking people looking to up their home size? Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I would say for me, there's a lot of buyers that have been in the marketplace and been looking for a home, but as the new presidential election took over, as the holidays were wrapping up, a lot of people were in a hold pattern. So I'm kind of seeing that dam break open, and those buyers now interested in coming to the market, probably accepting that interest rates aren't going to be dropping dramatically anytime soon, and then realizing some of this new spring inventory that's coming on the market is beautiful and it's attracting buyers. And so I see that kind of opening those floodgates. And I tell my clients all the time that after Super Bowl weekend, the amount of activity in real estate just skyrockets. So for me, that's always been a position in the year to look out for. I don't know what it is, but the phone starts ringing for buyers and sellers in my business across the board right after Super Bowl weekend.
It's interesting for me. What I'm noticing too is like in the Rancho area, like the Anatolia area and the Folsom area, I'm seeing a whole lot of nurses, a whole lot of doctors that are looking to buy in those areas because of all the stuff that's being developed in Folsom Ranch.
Mhm.
I went over to Toll Brothers. We just put a client, they reserved a home over there too. But we went over there and they're like, it was kind of crickets 2 weeks now, and all of a sudden we have a lot of nurses, doctors are moving into the area because of all the medical development happening in the Folsom Ranch area. So I do think that we're going to see these sporadic kind of pops of demand, but for the most part, I mean, like you mentioned with the staging, a lot of the buyers we're working with, and a lot of the buyers who are looking at our properties as well too, our listings, they want to not spend any money. They want to walk into a house and have a
Mhm.
turnkey. In fact, like we were showing the Sun River house that we have available right now too, and it was turnkey. It's perfect. It's in fantastic shape. And um, the husband was looked at us. The guy who's there was basically looking at us and said, like, I wouldn't be here right now unless the house is in perfect condition. Like, I'm not looking to spend any more money.
Right.
Interest rates are high. I don't want to spend the cash if I'm going to be going in at like 7% to buy the home, and I need it to be perfect because I don't want to deal with it. So I think you are right. I think that like buyers are realizing inventory is coming back, resale inventory, and I think that buyers are picky, and I don't blame them. I mean, you're going in with a high interest rate. You don't got a lot of cash after the holiday season. The last thing you want to do is like renovate the entire house. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. And another large struggle that I have, many of my clients are fix and flippers and investors. And what I'm seeing is a lack of quality, reliable contractors that they can get in to fix that home. And, you have to go out and get three, four, five bids to make sure you're getting a good price on this stuff. And a lot of buyers don't even want to deal with that. They have no interest in doing the large scale projects or taking down walls or landscaping a backyard. They want something they can move into, be stress free, and enjoy their life in this big investment that they're making.
Well, it's interesting too because like we have this war right now in Sacramento, like resale versus new homes, right?
Oh
But,
yeah.
like, it was so funny because, I was looking at this stuff and I was just looking at the numbers and everything too, and I'm looking at Mello-Roos in the new home area between, like, maybe, like, 350 and sometimes as much as, like, 650, and then I'm looking at a lot of HOAs and I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know. I mean, like, let's say you built in a seller credit and you bought a resale home, you got the rate down, and you don't ever have to worry about HOAs or Mello-Roos. There's a part of me that's kind of like jumping back on the resale stuff. I'm looking at some stuff pop in the market, and I think for a lot, like, here's the thing. I think that a lot of people don't realize that before COVID, in our market specifically, new homes weren't as big business like they are right now. And because of low inventory, a lot of people went into the new homes, and because of the buy downs and incentives. But if you kind of look at it on paper and you say, okay, like, they're giving me a buy down, they're pushing me down to like 6%, let's say, I get a 6% interest rate, but at the same time I'm going to be having to pay this Mello-Roos of maybe 350 for like 24 years or whatever. They could put another Mello-Roos bond on top of that, and then I got an HOA as well too, as opposed to going for like a resale home in an area that maybe doesn't have HOAs. I don't have to worry about Mello-Roos. The community's already built up. Like, based on that, I'm really, really liking the resale's chances come, and also new homes. They're not giving the incentives that back in the day they were. The incentives are
No.
not that great anymore. You know what I mean? What do you think of that, Corey?
Actually, some of the best incentives, and I've been instructing some of my buyers to look at these things, is the new build homes that are coming to the close of their build out for that build site are the ones that have the really good incentives and kind of some of the closeout deals. I mean, Richmond America is offering a 4.99% promotional rate as of last weekend with a $25,000 weekend only credit that you can use for closing costs or whatever else you want. And so that, during that weekend only, it was a huge striking point for a lot of buyers because they have 12 lots left. Three of them already have existing homes on them. The rest of them are vacant lots, but they're offering the promotion on those lots, which is a rare thing. So if you stack the incentives and the right builder and the right site there, you can get a big, nice s- stack of incentives all piled on top of each other. But they're fewer and far between. They're harder to find, and yeah, you really have to look at the bottom line. What's your
Yeah.
HOA? What's the Mello-Roos? What are the taxes? What school district are you in? All of those things really add up to a bottom line. And sometimes the value, even with a new home, isn't there compared to a resale. And sometimes buyers get overwhelmed with how many variables they have to compare. If you're looking at a brand new home in Rancho and a resale home in Elk Grove, and you're trying to stack the incentives and compare numbers, it's almost impossible to do because it's two different cities, it's two different buyer groups. An appraiser would never compare those two properties together, but buyers will. And so
Yep.
it becomes tough for them to analyze all these variables. And that's where, having somebody that can help guide you to put those pieces together becomes very important when you're looking at both resale and new home construction.
Well, that's the interesting thing too. I think here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. This is really interesting. To a majority of people that live in Sacramento, people in Sacramento, and this is a little bit of just like, majority, right? Majority of people who live in Sacramento prefer to go to resale. If they have a choice to
Mhm.
move up or even like upgrade their house for a bigger house, they will 9 out of 10 times go to the resale market. Even if the incentives are amazing, they just don't like going into new homes. Now we have a lot of
Right.
influx of people coming from Los Angeles, from San Francisco, from all over the place. They're the ones that prefer the new homes because the incentives and also because of the low inventory. Like for you, Corey, if I asked you straight up, resale or new, what would you do?
Personal opinion, what I choose to buy as a buyer is resale. And mainly because I'm looking for something that's established. I like larger lots, a bigger backyard. I grew up in the Los Angeles area, and most lots there are just the postage stamp. Nobody had a good. I mean, some people did, but not as many as they do up in this area. And so when I relocated to this area, that was really important to me, and it's something I seeked out. I know that can be a really tough factor with people that want the convenience of a turnkey brand new home, but then when you walk out and you can barely fit a patio set in your backyard and it's just dirt, you have to pay to landscape it and make it actually functional. That could be a big turnoff, and a lot of the issues with the new homes, you're looking into each other's windows. But I think the new builders, especially in the new designs that I've seen, they've really mitigated a lot of that, where they feel private on the lots. They're trying to not have windows staring into people's backyards and stuff like that. So, but at the end of the day, it's a business, and they need to maximize the amount of product they're making. And yeah, it's a it's a tough balance.
I mean, for me, I think of it this way. Like, I think new homes are here to stay. And I think they were very smart about it, throwing out the incentives, but also doing things in the Sacramento area that I haven't seen in some of the older homes. The great room concept, right? That's something that for a lot of the homes you see in the Sacramento area, they have a little bit of the division, that living room area that for the most part you've got to decorate and design and put furniture in, but you never go in. Then you got the kitchen, and then you got those tri-level Folsom homes. And then you walk into a Taylor Morrison and you got this big, huge room with those waterfall edge countertops, those big windows. They may, like new homes are here to stay. But it is an
I agree.
interesting thing. Like when I get those leads from the San Francisco area, it's like, I want resale. That's what I want. I don't want those new homes. When you go from people who are coming in, they're like, yeah, I saw this, new home company, Toll Brothers. Let's go. Let's go take a look at those. And it's just an interesting kind of way of looking at it because, like, for us, prior to COVID, we did have Bay Area people coming in, but it wasn't like now or, people coming in from other areas. But now, because we have that huge demand for new homes, I mean, there's like 15 new home communities popping up this year alone. I mean, it's big business and everything
Right.
too. Let me ask you something though, getting back on topic. Do you see, like, okay, let's say for example, like towards last year, we saw a lot of people, a lot of buyers, they were itching for those low interest rates, right? And so for me,
Right.
I saw this is what I saw with buyers for the most part. Towards the end of last year, or yeah, last year, they're like, we're gonna get to fives, we're gonna get to fives. We're not getting into fives. We're not getting to fives. So you had a lot of people that were frustrated. And then towards the end of last year, I think they're like, we're gonna buy. And I think towards the beginning of this year, they're out there actively looking, but then all of a sudden we saw this uptick of inventory hit the market and it was visible. I mean, it was visible on Zillow. People were seeing
Right.
stuff for the first time. And I think now people kind of like the buyers kind of like put it down in second gear and they're like, okay, we're seeing inventory happen. We got a little while
Mhm.
before spring rush. We're going to be a little more discerning about what we're looking at. And I think that's throwing a lot of realtors and listing agents for a loop because I think a lot of them are listing stuff maybe a little higher than they should still from last year. As far as your listings, what do you think as far as your average days on the market, realistically?
Yeah, yeah, and that really depends on the condition of the home and where my clients are comfortable pricing it. Based on those two factors, if they're willing to price it aggressively and trust that we're going to try to create that bidding war, and trust that strategy, your clients have to be all in. And I think the biggest thing is making sure that the expectation with your client is clear. Like, hey, if we price at this, this is what the expectation should be. And pricing too high hurts your listing so much. It just takes so many eyeballs away and so much precious attention away on those early days on market that making sure you're priced accordingly. Don't be scared to list your house a little more aggressively than what you think, because you want that buyer activity. You don't have to accept an offer that's not something you're willing to accept. But it's earning that trust with the seller. And then you sometimes a seller is not capable of sprucing up a property and making it look as perfect as they can, so you have to work around that. Sometimes that means offering a seller credit to help buy down the rate, or whatever it may be, depending on the locations. I'm seeing, probably, I just had a listing go 5 days on market. We had four offers in 48 hours, and we went 35,000 over ask. And I have another listing, similar quality, a little bit of a different location, but we're 24 days on market, fully renovated home, 475,000 in Rancho Cordova, beautiful street. And we don't have many buyers that are interested for some reason. And that's something that I'm working with my clients on adjusting. What can we do? Do we put in physical staging there? Do we do a price adjustment? Do we make improvements to the home? So making that all balance out for your clients to net the amount of money they're looking for is what I focus on, and I'm sure you and your team do the same.
Isn't it odd though in this market that if you look at them before they go live, right, and you're looking at them, you got the aggressive pricing, you got the pretty photos and everything too. It's a market that, as far as when you're a listing agent, it's a hard market to tell what's going to do well out there. It's like you push the boat out there and you say to
Mhm.
yourself, it's got everything. It's got the photos, it's got the furniture, it's got everything that it needs. The pricing is aggressive. It should do well. In this market, it's a really, really interesting market. What I'm seeing is houses that I think would fly sit. Houses that I
Mhm.
think that maybe like I'm not really sure about, like they fly. And it's a really interesting market right now, I think, for listing houses, right? Do I think it's
Right.
like a good time to list your home? I mean, I think always, and I tell people this, I think the closer you get to spring rush, the better you're going to do. I think we have such an influx of people moving to the area, and schools are so important that they really try to time the idea of like taking the kids out of school, putting, getting into a new house and being there for a little bit of the summer so they can adjust and then get into the school year. So for me, I'm
Right.
always like this, but I do see that there's a lot of people that listed last year were hoping to get rid of their or sell their homes last year. They didn't. They repackaged, and now they're itching to get rid of it because they got a lot of carrying, don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm seeing some of those properties that I saw come off market. A lot of colleagues in the area. I'm watching all the listings every day, so I'm seeing my friends' listings come on and off the market, and some of them have improvements and are listed at a higher price. Some are listed at a higher price with no improvements. So it's curious to see how the buyers and sellers' minds shift over the winter time and now coming into this new spring market. I mean, it's naturally the best time to put your home on the market. Everything is green and lush and sprouting and beautiful, and so I think sellers take advantage of that. And yeah, I'm one thing I have noticed is the entry level homes in the Sacramento area, say 500,000 and below, where you're getting into your first property. I'm seeing a notice of buyer interest pullback in that area, but a significant increase of interest in kind of the second tier properties up, say 650 plus.
Yeah.
And that buyer pool is slightly different. It's usually somebody who's moving up from a property that they've owned before, maybe a condo, townhome, a smaller starter home. And now going through COVID and all the appreciation that we've had, they're very strong buyers with a lot of equity, and they can come in all cash or cash strong and maybe waive an appraisal. I'm noticing that in that kind of secondary or higher tier market above entry level, a lot of activity and strong buyers in that market.
That's interesting, like because towards the end of last year, I would have said I agree with you 100%. I would say like the hottest price point is maybe your 450s to your 550s, somewhere around that.
Hmm.
Anything you list on the market, go, go, go. And I
Right.
think you're right. I
Always.
mean, we have a house right now in Sun River that's gorgeous, beautiful, three-car garage, 3 and 2, absolutely like turnkey. And we've already gone by past a week. And for me, I'm like, this is like a no-brainer of a house. And then we have like other houses that have done amazing, in that kind of middle tier price point. So I think you're
Right.
right. I think a lot of people, I think also because a lot of people were waiting on the sidelines, now that they're jumping into the market at this higher interest rate, at which an interest rate they thought would be lower, I think they want something. They want something more. They don't just want to settle and just get something. They want something that's going to make them smile. And I get it. I'm kind of the same type of buyer. I don't I want something, but I want it to be something that when I'm paying my mortgage, I'm smiling about it. I'm like,
It's
it's
worth
my
it.
house.
Right.
I love it.
Exactly.
So I don't know. We got Tatiana here.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'm really curious about the info tonight. Tatiana, I'll give you a good hint. This is a good hint for anyone looking to buy a house, right? I would say this for all the houses last year that were on the market towards the end of the year that were pulled off and then thrown back on. I do think if they were thrown back on early, it's because the sellers might be carrying more than they need to be on those houses. And if they sit for maybe a week or two, I think going low wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't think this is a market where you should hesitate on going low on houses, especially if something hasn't sat for 2 weeks. One offer, even if it's low, is better than no offers at all. And 2 weeks on the market, in my opinion, at that point in time, sellers and realtors start kind of like thinking about it. What do you think, Corey?
I would completely agree. I work with a lot of fix and flippers and a lot of investors that are looking for fixer properties, which are sometimes priced low and sometimes priced high. But my clients write an offer where it makes sense for them. Sometimes that's very low, and you'd be shocked at some of the offers we're getting accepted, and putting the properties that we're putting into contract 50, $60,000 below asking price. But albeit, I will caveat that with these offers are very strong, all cash, and we can close quick. So there's some incentive there. But as a buyer, I would not hesitate from getting out, seeing the properties that you like, because there's something about confidently crossing a property off of your list just as much as confidently circling it. So, getting out, seeing different areas and locations, you're going to fine tune your search over time. And then you're going to end up with a property that you really love at the end of the day. The more you see, I think
Oh,
the better property you end up with.
oh, 100%. All right, we got Matt Barba here. We lost the love for sweet equity. I know. I know. Hopefully it comes back. Maybe we'll get that love and feeling back. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark and Nikki, for your professional real estate representation. No problem, Wendy. And we will get you that house that makes you smile from ear to ear. Like I said, here's the thing, and I truly believe this, and like with clients also, like there's going to be that itch, right? To jump on a house that's maybe like a 7, right? Or a 6 or 7, because you're feeling like, uh, I've been waiting for so long. I'm going to grab on it. I'll tell you something. This is almost like the rule of thumb. The second you close on a 6 or 7, that 9 or 10 is going to hit the market, and you're going to be kicking yourself in the butt. So all you got to do is have a little patience, wait a little bit, wait for the right house, because the right house is going to do 2 things for you. One, it's going to make you stop looking at Zillow every single night. And number 2, it's going to be a house that every time you wake up in the morning, you got to smile from ear to ear. That's my word. What do you think is that one thing, Corey, that makes a person go like, this is my house? What is that one thing for you when you're working with someone that when they choose a house, you go like, yeah, it's the right house for them?
Yeah, and it's funny because after doing this for so long and touring with so many different homes with so many different types of clients, the clients will immediately know. You'll see that fire in their eyes where they don't want to leave the property. I mean, after they're like, "Yes, we wanna make an offer, we'll call you," and immediately, I'm barely getting in my car and getting my maps set up, and they're calling me to, talk about offer terms. That's the feeling that you want as a buyer when you're leaving the property. I get calls from my buyers after discussing terms. I'm on my way to go draft the offer, and they're still driving around the neighborhood, looking at the homes, going back to the house, sometimes peeping in the windows when they shouldn't be, things like that. That's how excited you wanna be about the property that you're purchasing, and if you're not, then continue looking, because new homes and new properties continuously come on, and it's an endless flow. They have to keep coming on, or else the whole industry will shut down. So just be confident in your own values and the own bars you've set for yourself and the property type that you're looking for. Don't give in. There are times, I guess, that it makes sense to reel back the wants and needs and desires. I usually tell my clients, like, look, if you're looking for something very specific and you can hit 87, 95% in between that range, that's a great fit of a property for you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think I always say it's the furniture test. When clients start like walking through the house and going like, where would our furniture fit? Where's the TV? Oh, we'll put the couch there. Then you're like, all right, you guys, we're on the right path right now too. And I don't think
Yep.
anyone like. Here's the thing: you're going to see a lot of realtors and lenders and all these people in the industry say like, bye, you're missing out. You're like, time your life, not don't time the market. Find the right fit for you. Like I always tell people this, and I always tell people on my team this too. I'm like, if at the very jump, like the get go that you're submitting the offer, you're not sure about it, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. It just every day it's
Right.
progressively going to get worse until you're like, can I get my deposit back? So be excited because it makes the journey a whole lot better when you're like, it's your time. I want to buy. I'm good to go. Don't you think, Corey?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and not to say it always gets worse, but as you're going through the purchasing process, especially if you haven't been through it before, there's a lot of things that can seem very scary on the forefront. And then as you get into, 5 years of home ownership, and you see that again on another inspection report or a real estate contract, you kind of realize what it is. And you're like, hey, this is just a part of home ownership. And so, separating a bad deal from just, hey, this is a part of owning a property. You're going to have to deal with maintenance items. That these things are always going to come up, and a big issue like a foundation issue or something, or a roof issue. Separating those things for a buyer is really important. Um, but like Matt Barba said, we did lose. I feel society as a whole has lost a lot of motivation for sweat equity. I think there's
Yeah.
more contractors and private equity and private property holders that are fixing and flipping as a business standpoint than there are motivated individuals purchasing homes with the intent of fixing them up themselves over a 4 or 5 year period, and then selling for a profit, and upgrading from that point on. So who knows, maybe I'm off on that, but it'll be interesting to see how the next generation of home buyers coming in behind the millennial generation will feel about that and what they'll do with properties.
For me, man, I'll tell you something. There ain't nothing like driving to Home Depot, getting some stuff going, fixing up your house. There's just something about that that just makes I love it. You know what I mean? And I'm not the most handy. I videos, yeah, I can do that. I'm watching YouTube videos, figuring out this planter box and everything too. But there's just something about that that makes you feel good. I think maybe it's the idea that you've been like, you're renting for so long as a youth, and then all of a sudden you have something that's yours. You can paint the walls, you can put nails, all that kind of stuff too. There's something about that, at least for me, that really like goes. I really love that. All right, we
Yeah,
got a question from Ben. Ben Aguirre, Key Renter, guys. Property management service. Love Ben. He's got, probably, in my opinion, the top property management company in the area. If you guys are looking for that,
I
let
agree.
me know. All right, yes, new homes have tiny backyards, but resale have larger yards and privacy. Yeah, there is something about that too. I think the other thing too that I like about the resale area is like, I was looking at Toll Brothers yesterday, and beautiful house, and I absolutely love them as well too. But like I said, like there's something about the resale homes. I don't know, like there's just I don't know. There's something for me. Like I was going back and forth between resale and new when I did my jump a little while ago, but it just I don't know what it is. It was just resale just pulled me in a little bit tighter, and it just,
Right.
would I go new home in the future? I might, definitely, like there's a chance, but at the same time, I'd give it 75% resale, then maybe 25% new. That would be like my buffer. I don't know. And then all my real estate friends would make fun of me because I went new homes.
Well, there's a segment of the market that is custom new build on larger lots too. So where we kind of bundle them into one kind of package, which I would say the smaller lot lines, more cookie cutter, where they have four models, but there's 200 homes in the neighborhood, and there's four different types all spread around. There are these pocket neighborhoods with custom homes that you can really, they're on an acre property. I know there's quite a few in El Dorado Hills that are really beautiful and stunning, but you got to think of everything that comes with a brand new home on that size lot in an area like that with larger acreage. You're probably dealing with fire insurance and other items that come up. So you can get the new home benefits without some of those drawbacks, but it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you.
We got Wendy. I'm excited about buying and selling my beautiful home. Yeah, we're listing Wendy's home, and it's gonna be great. I'm excited. She did some great renovations to it as well too. So Wendy, I'm excited, and thank you for trusting our team. I appreciate it. All right, do you think some older homes offer more privacy, charm, and are better built? You know, that's kind of a loaded question a little bit, just because like a lot of the trees aren't built out yet. The privacy, you really don't know yet exactly what your neighbors are going to do and everything too. But I would say out of those three things, charm, I would say one thing about some of the communities in Sacramento, that the resale communities, the charm is definitely just like oozing charm. You know what I mean? There's some of these pretty communities that you're like, I want to go for a walk. I want to go that. I don't know. I think for me, the new homes, and I think there is a great place for new homes in our market. I think it's a little bit too modern, fast, like Stepfordish, where some of the other communities have that old school charm, barbecues on the block, you know. I don't know. For me, yeah, I'd say charm for me. What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree, and I think, a lot of that is that mature landscaping. When that mature landscaping grows in, those trees get a lot bigger, you get a little more shade, everything looks more mature and more established. And then usually over that time, the homes kind of change. People start adding things out front, and the neighborhood just looks more mature. It's tough to,
It's
yeah,
some nice
tough,
stuff.
tough to balance between the two there. I've seen some beautiful new home construction communities that have a lot more charm than some neighborhoods that you might not, feel safe walking through.
All right, we got video guy Matt. Now's the time for buyers to start lowballing. Many sellers are sitting on the market trying to chase peak pricing that doesn't exist anymore. Here's the thing that I think. I think that a lot of people last year they listed maybe a little higher than they should have listed. And I think it came back to bite them a little bit in the butt. I think the thing is you just have to there are certain houses that probably I would go low on. The houses that I'd go low on are the houses that you open up, they have no furniture, lights are off, no heat's on, and like I could tell that like, no one lives there, so they're carrying this house one way or another. A house that's maybe in a high HOA that's is the exact same thing. I look for carrying costs. I think to myself, like, to have this thing on the market for even longer, this is what it's going to take. So I'd say for those houses, yeah, I would definitely I would go low. What do you think?
Me personally, I've always been a negotiator. I've always, thrown out low balls if I'm buying something. I've always tried to get a good deal if I can. And so I always encourage my buyers, what risk is there? I mean, besides getting practice in writing the offers, getting familiar with the language, getting creative, asking for a 2-1 buy down or a seller credit, anything you can do to get creative on those terms to make the offer work is just, it only benefits my buyer and their experience in real estate. And hey, maybe they say yes and they get the deal of the century. That would be a great win. But if you don't take the shot, you never know if you'll make it. And so I always encourage my buyers to go out, tour more properties. You want to write offers on properties that you really truly love, and I guess that depends on your buyer's appetite, what they're looking for. Is it investment property? Then you might not care what neighborhood it's in, as long as it brings in good money.
What would be advice to buyers you'd give to people right now, this moment, not yesterday, not in spring or whatever, like at this moment? What would be that one piece of advice you'd give a buyer?
Start paying attention to every single property that's coming on the market in the area and specs that you want, because there's going to be a good amount of inventory coming on the market already. I mean, we were talking about stats right before the show, and if you pull the monthly inventory stats for Sac, El Dorado, Placer County, and Yolo County, the four counties in the greater Sacramento area, it's a 60%, I think it's 58.9% increase in inventory over last year. And to me, this is very early in our busy season for the real estate market. So I'm telling my buyers, look, you don't have to jump in and start making offers on everything you see, but really start paying attention to the homes that are coming on the market, because the good ones are going in 48 hours.
Yeah.
And if you can miss some great opportunities if you're not paying attention, and you don't have a system set up with your representative, your agent, to be able to say, hey, let's go see this right now, and both knowing what your schedule looks like. So lining those things out, putting a plan together for, hey, how are we going to get out to see properties this week? Is it, do we have a window from 2 to 3 p.m. on Wednesday? Great, let me pack in 2 to 3 homes there that you really like. But pay attention. That's the biggest advice I would say, is pay attention right now.
All right. I'll give this advice. If it's raining, go out and look for homes. If the weekend is raining, go out and look for homes. I
Yeah,
kid you not, I put
great
so many
advice.
people in homes, those brave people. And I've got umbrellas. Corey's got umbrellas. We're good. Like, go out during those times where people aren't looking. Now you have a weird little envelope right now where inventory is picking up, buyers are being picky, and a lot of buyers don't like going out in the rain. Just being truthful, it just is the way it is. So I would say, like, brave the weather and get out there, and you might get lucky because I've seen a lot of people enjoy, like, I kid you not, either at least twice a year, I get these offers I'm submitting and I'm thinking to myself, yeah, there's just no way. And it's like, yeah, they get it. And it's because it was a rainy weekend, all of a sudden, like, it happened. So for me, I would say brave the weather, guys. The braver the weather, the people who brave the weather probably will benefit. All right, Corey, advice for sellers right now.
Um, I would be very diligent on making sure your home, do as much free things to the home as you can to make it as clean and dialed in as possible. if you have the time on the weekend to get out there and rake the leaves, or repaint the trim, whatever it can be, you have to be putting your best foot forward, because your neighbor right down the street, if they have a better photographer, or if they put the $1,500 into repainting the trim and cleaning the carpet and all that, and they price $5,000 below you, that's the difference between you being on the market for 48 hours and 48 days. So right now, it's people are really looking at the inventory that's coming on. We're seeing more and more coming on every day. So you really got to make your property shine as best you can, and then price accordingly. You don't want to be trying to shoot for a Hail Mary transaction win right now. It's not the market that we're in. It's not a COVID year. You want to make sure that you're pricing accordingly to get the activity that's going to sell the home. And the other thing I would piece onto that is, if you list your house and after the average days on market in that area, whether that's 14 days, 20 days, 30 days, if you're not getting offers in, or more importantly, showings, consistent showings, then make the adjustment early. Don't sit and wait till 40, 50 days on market. Make the adjustment early, adjust that price, clean up the home, stage it, whatever you have to do, but pay a lot of attention for those first 2 weeks and make the adjustments necessary, so you're not just remaining stagnant.
All right. I will give the sellers one advice: trust the realtor you're working with, or get yourself a new realtor. A lot of people don't realize that sellers sometimes can be so aggressive, so this and that, that they get realtors like off their game, and they'll maybe list high just to get the listing and everything too. Trust your realtor. If your realtor has a good strategy, you've got to trust the realtor you're working with. If you don't trust the realtor you're working with, it's not going to work. It's going to be very, very shaky. You're going to feel like you listed too low, you didn't get enough, and everything too. You really have to trust the listing agent you're working with. And I really, really find that to be a successful thing. If someone trusts us and says, "Hey, Mark, I trust you guys. Do what you got to do," we make it happen. You know what I mean? So
Right.
I would say whoever you're working with, you should be working with us. But if you're not, it's okay. Like, trust your realtor. You need to trust, because it's a team effort, and that's how you're going to win in this market. All right. We got one. My husband and I are planning to purchase a new home and going in with the intention of turning it into a home. It's important that our home has personality. I think you can definitely do that. I think, and I'm not saying new homes are completely, like void of that. I've seen some homes at the Blackstone, Lennar community that look like custom homes. I mean, you can go crazy on them
Right.
as well too. I think that it's about the space and about what you create with it and everything too. And honestly, like, one of the things that I love about the new homes is the great room concept. I love the gathering spaces. And I think after a while, if you live in a house and you start giving it love and showing it and creating memories there, it just naturally turns into a home. Don't you think?
100%, 100%. One caveat I would say with that is, just be weary, because with that new home, you get the benefits of all those warranties. And so if you're gonna, make sure that your plans of making it your home, just be conscientious that you don't want to be voiding any of those nice manufacturer warranties and contractor warranties that you have in place.
Man, okay. Video guy Matt says it's going to be tough for some sellers to come to terms with low pricing. I am still seeing many relisted in the last few weeks with the same price, and it sat on the market for months in 2024, sitting again. Yeah, guys, here's the thing. February, March, you were listing your house at the same price it was last year with the same interest rates, probably lower demand on the market. It's not going to bode well. You got to have a new strategy, and like, you got to shake it up a little bit, or it's just not going to work. Yeah,
At least
I
new
would say
photography.
it could be frustrating for sellers. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, yeah, you really do. At least new photography, at least give it a new face. But yeah, I think he has a good point. A lot of sellers are stuck with those golden handcuffs of the low interest rates, that they're feeling the squeeze because they're selling probably a home. Every seller situation is different, but I have some sellers that are looking to specifically downsize, planning for retirement, and they're going to be spending more money by downsizing than they are just staying in place. Their insurance is going to go up, their
Yep.
taxes are going to go up, their interest rate's going to triple. So, yeah, I think that's holding back the market on the inventory side, and a lot of sellers are having a tough come to terms, because life moves on. your kids, move to different states and you want to chase them. Your grandkids are going over here. You want to get out of state for whatever reason it may be. Life moves on beyond your real estate needs, and so I'm seeing a lot of sellers in this position that they kind of feel forced to make this maybe not the best financial move, but their life is moving them in that direction, and so you really have to work as best as you can to balance that out, make it a move that still makes sense for them. Um, but yeah, it's a tough position for sellers that have those low interest rates, or are looking to downsize with a mortgage. That's a really
Well,
tough position to be in.
Well, for me, I also think is like if you're a seller and you have a 2.75 and you're not really itching to sell, but you're trying to get that amazing price, like I don't even know what's the point in selling your home. I think sellers should be like, I'm trying to sell my home, let's get going on it. And I think you do have a lot of, listing agents out there who promise the world and, hey, like I can get you this much for your house. And I think it kind of just clutters up the market. It set bad vibes and a lot of these houses are sitting. I'm going to, in fact, create a t-shirt that's going to say, back off. I have a 2.75. I'm going to sell those and make a lot of money with it. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. All right, we got Ryan Moyer. Literally, he had twins, cutest kids ever. All right, can't seem to get a pulse on the market. One week it seems like the markets are standstill. Next week, listings getting offers. Going to be an interesting but good year. Great stream, guys. Thanks, Ryan. Like, yeah, honestly, I feel the same way. It's bizarre. Like, it's like buyer demand. It's like the listings. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting market. And I think it is a market that it's going to be week by week. And, I would say the one thing that people should do to keep on top of this is tune into the show every Wednesday at 7 p.m. when we go live and tell you guys what's going on in the market. What do you think, Corey? Is it a week to week
You
market, you
know,
think?
yeah, you want to make sure, I think that you can fall into this trap of trying to adjust too much because, if you make a price adjustment on a property, you need to let that soak in for a couple days. And sometimes, you know, you make a price adjustment and you go through a weekend and you still don't have offers. You can have clients that are sitting in this really anxious position of wondering what the heck is going on. But then midweek, the following week, you get three or four offers. Sometimes you have to make a move. You have to be nimble on your feet enough to make the move and realize what's happening, but you don't want to make too many moves too fast. Um, Judging it on a week to week basis, I'm seeing consistent activity from both buyers and sellers on both sides, week by week, as further as we get into spring and into February. The year long January that we appeared to have, Um, it seemed like it was off and on, but then since February hit, it seems like it's been very consistent, at least from my experience in the demand. For buyers wanting to get out there, I would probably say it's a little heavier in the sellers wanting to get on market.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Angel's got a question for us. Elk Grove versus Folsom. And I've done a bunch of videos. I want to get your Corey, your take on this. What do you think? Elk Grove versus Folsom. Both great places. What do you think?
Yeah, both great places. Both have a ton of growth. I would say Folsom's probably inching out Elk Grove with a little bit of the new home building, and then probably the construction growth that's already in development and planned for that area. I see that area just completely exploding. Elk Grove has a lot of, I would say, kind of infill newer construction, and then on the one side, they're growing quite a bit. Depends what you're looking for. Um, each place has different pros and cons. Um, Even down to, I think probably one of the biggest ones is accessibility. I know a lot of my buyers choose Oak Grove because they go to the Bay Area often and they don't want to have to deal with that extra half-hour drive to Folsom, or a half hour or hour and a half, depending on the time that you go with traffic. I know both locations are getting inundated with traffic issues now just due to the population growth. Um, I think a lot of people in Sacramento, and you've probably experienced this, they kind of favor one side. They
Yeah.
favor the 50 side or they favor the 80 side. Elk Grove's kind of its own thing. Ever since I've moved here, I've always kind of lived and favored the 50 side, not for real any particular reason. It just feels more comfortable for me. Um, uh, but both have immense growth. If you're looking for great appreciation, great schools, I don't think you can really go wrong between the two. I would just go look at each one, see which one feels, go into the shops, go into the stores. You got to do some of the events in the area to get a feel for it. Um, and then choose. If it was up to me personally, just because I favor the 50 side, I'd probably choose Folsom, just to answer the
All right,
question.
all right, cool. I'd say Elk Grove versus Folsom. Here's what I'll say: Elk Grove versus Folsom, like they're completely different areas, places, lifestyles, and everything too. You gotta go out there and vibe it out for yourself. I'd say both Elk Grove and Folsom, probably in my opinion, two of the most competitive and hard to find houses, markets in the Sacramento metro, bar none. I would say Elk Grove, you probably get in there for about $100,000 less than Folsom. I think Elk Grove is going to have the new train station. It's the quickest
The
southernmost
zoo,
part of the Sacramento metro to hit
right?
you to the Bay Area. I think both are super super competitive. Folsom, it's hard to get anything in the like 850s to like a million 1.1s. Elk Grove, I'd say the price point that's a little bit more competitive in Elk Grove is maybe like the 650s to the 750s. Both great places, but like, like what Corey's was saying, like different lifestyles, different vibe. Elk Grove is flatter, where Folsom is kind of jumping into the mountain kind of areas where you have houses with views and everything too. Both are pretty awesome. I'd say the Elk Grove, I would say the 757 area, you're looking at probably some of the highest Melloroos in all the area. Folsom Ranch is going to have some Mellows as well too, but they're both amazing spots. But I would say Folsom is going to give you more like the resort style vibe, like the Tahoe-ish kind of vibe. Elk Grove is going to be a little bit more flat. You have access to close to downtown as well too. So they're both different spots. I mean, the funny thing about Sacramento in general is there's so many different pockets that give you such a different lifestyle, home styles, and everything too. You just got to vibe it out for yourself. But I would say straight up, $100,000 difference, probably to get you what you want in both spots. Both super competitive, and you better have a very aggressive realtor in both those markets, or else you're gonna
And
be looking for a
it really
while.
depends. It really depends on where you live, or where you work too. If you're working from home, then you get a lot of flexibility. If you're working in Midtown, that commute from Folsom is probably very different from Elk Grove. In Elk Grove, you're a much shorter distance, but it might take you twice as long to get there as it would from
Oh
Folsom,
yeah.
just because the traffic stuff. So um, for I like this comment. the seller
Sellers are
sellers are insane.
insane. Okay, and then we'll go to him one more time. Is so many layoffs there? There's gonna be a tough. It's gonna be tough. Ton of foreclosures. Gonna be tough and foreclosure. Sorry about that. It's no glasses. I apologize. I
Yeah.
don't know. I mean, here's the thing though too, and I want to have a lender on as well too to talk to everybody about how the foreclosures work. It's just not as easy as that. There's a lot of like gotchas and get you out of jail free cards on the road to that. So I don't know. I don't think we'll have that wave of foreclosures. But again, like I said, the market is a crazy one. I just think the foreclosures, you might see a few here, a few there, but I don't think it's going to be a rush of them. What do you think, Corey?
I actually have some pretty good insight to that because I do work with a lot of fix and flippers and investors that are buying these rehab properties. A bulk of these come from foreclosure auctions, probates, um, places like that. And so I have noticed an increase in foreclosures and probates coming to market, especially from these big hedge funds that kind of buy them in bulk. But I wouldn't say that those are recent foreclosures that people are, experiencing new financial turmoil. I think these are probably the ones that were kind of low hanging fruit, probably very close to foreclosure before COVID happened. And then COVID caused this rush of equity influx to their property. Their property values took off. And so they're able to survive for these next coming years. Uh, and maybe lend against the property or work with the bank until time settled down. And now I think those private equity funds, and a lot of those are big holders that are holders of multiple properties across the nation, are releasing them in batches. And that's I work closely with the agents that are representing those sellers, and they are telling me that a lot more are coming. But I don't think that's from people who are recently foreclosing in the last 6 months. I think these are people that are close to foreclosing, some time ago, and they got this boost of equity, and now things are kind of falling apart again. Is my own personal opinion on it.
Okay. All right. It's gonna be interesting how the market lays out. Now, one thing, and thank you, Wendy. We really appreciate your trust too. One thing I wanted to announce real quick is the fact that like Corey and I are gonna be starting a side channel to the Sacramento real estate channel, and it's going to be about commercial and investing in the Sacramento area. Corey's going to be working with some of our clients with the investment side of stuff, commercial stuff, multifamily, and everything too. He's a whiz when it comes to that stuff. So if you are looking for maybe commercial, if you're looking for investment possibilities in the Sacramento market, hit the Zoom link below and you'll get me and Corey on a phone call and we can talk to you a little bit about stuff. He's a rock star. He knows his numbers backwards and forwards. And I'm excited to start this new channel because we get so many people who want to invest in Sacramento and they want someone to run numbers with them, talk them through like processes back and forth. Like, what would you say are some of the things that like we can expect on this new channel, Corey? Things that you've been going through lately.
Yeah. Well, I think it's going to be, I want to make sure it's something for everybody. I don't want it to be just for these, high powered investors. I want it to be for anybody who has a slightest interest in investing in real estate, all the way up to, hey, I'm ready to make this big kind of portfolio purchase or a big, triple net commercial building purchase. I think the path of building wealth through real estate is probably one of the most powerful. And I got passionate in this from my own standpoint of wanting to get involved in investing in real estate and then really commercial real estate. So what I like to do is educate my clients, especially ones that are interested in putting some investment money into real estate, to open your mind to commercial options. You don't always have to look at multifamily commercial options. You can look at office, you can look at retail, you can look at industrial. Each one of those aspects of commercial real estate have their own sets of numbers, their own kind of ecosystem within each sector. So it can get a little overwhelming, but with the right conversation, we can lead you down that path of making the right investments and transitioning you from maybe a single family home that's a rental into moving that up to a duplex, and then creating the financial plan to 1031 exchange, protect your capital gains into a fourplex, and then maybe moving that into, a more commercial ownership standpoint, that you're a 5% owner in a Rite Aid or a Carl's Jr. or a Dutch Brothers or whatever it may be. Leading my clients down that path is something I've gotten the most positive results with, and made the most biggest impact on my clients' lives. And so that's how I'm really looking to build this channel out, kind of touch on all those avenues and get feedback from the audience on what you're looking for. What questions can we answer? What puzzle pieces can we fill in so this stuff can make sense for you? And it's not this, big monstrosity of a thing to take on by yourself.
It should be fun. And first video will be launching in March, and it should be really, really a good one. It's going to be about 5 commercial projects you probably should be knowing about in the Sacramento area. So it should be good. And we're going to be sprinkling Matt Barba in there as well, too, wherever he wants to pop in as well, too, because it was his brainchild. All right. So we got Matt here. How's the multifamily market in Sacramento?
Oh, I mean, it's always consistently hot. The multifamily market has been huge for a long time. I think it's somewhat impacted with investors looking at things, which has caused sellers to drive up pricing and kind of shoot for the moon. And sometimes the industry gets labeled pretty poorly because a lot of these agents and sellers will slap this high price point on the listing for a fourplex or a triplex, whatever it may be, but then you go on and you see it sold for $100,000 less. And so a lot of buyers are getting intimidated by the pricing that they're seeing, but I'm trying to encourage them that most of these sellers are basing it off um, the highest comps they can. They know they're going to get negotiated down. The commercial space works a little bit differently than residential. Things take longer. Time on market is different. But get out there and have the conversations. That I mean, I accepted an offer today on a commercial building in Cameron Park, working with an agent that came out and was just willing to have the conversations to put this thing together. And yeah, that involves conversations of a significantly lower price than we were listed for, but we were able to get through all the humps and issues that were in front of us, and we ended up with a contract. So if you're not willing to jump in and have those conversations, take a look at the property, float the questions, you might not get the answers you're looking for or even hoping for.
And the coolest thing about the channel too is we're gonna have one of those boards where Corey's gonna actually do the numbers. So you guys are going to see all that stuff. And if it pencils, it pencils. So it's going to be fun. But if
Yeah.
you guys are an investor or you're thinking about jumping in, hit the Zoom link. You'll get Corey and he'll be able to show you why he joined the squad, I guess you can call it, with this new YouTube channel. It'll be fun though. I'm super excited about this one. All right, we
Yeah, my
got,
favorite
oh,
part is the creative. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
now hit it. Go. You're the guest.
My
I
my
interrupt
favorite
you. I'm
part my
sorry.
favorite part with the commercial space and kind of opening people's minds in what you can do with real estate is the creative side. You can be extremely creative with liquidating your properties, getting seller financing on another property. I mean, there's specific loan terms that you can get. If there's a mixed use building, I just had a buyer get a mixed use triplex with a retail storefront with a 30-year fixed mortgage as because there's that residential aspect to it. And if you don't explore the lending options, without that lending option, we would not never close that deal. And so you have to really get creative. That's something I like to teach people that you can have fun doing this stuff. And a no is not just a no; it's a what if we just try this instead. So breaking down those walls for some of the audience is what I want. My real goal is for this channel.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, cool. Like I said, first video in March. It's gonna be good. All right. Hi. I was wondering why high six-figure or seven-figure houses don't have proper venting for the cooking ranges over the kitchen island. Also, what areas in Sacramento have inbuilt library cases? Here's the thing. I would say the venting, yeah. People love the great room concept. So a lot of times, like, and they shouldn't, but the venting takes second as opposed to like the big open room and everything too. And I get you. Before this, I actually cooked up a steak and, I had proper venting. So it was really, really good. If I didn't, it'd be smoky everywhere. As far as built-in libraries, like and everything too, I think you'd probably be looking at a little bit more of the custom homes. There are some communities that have those. I would also say like some of that stuff you might be able to even find like in like the East Sacramento Land Park area.
Yep.
What do you think, Corey?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. East Sac, you're gonna be looking for an older build, which there's
Yeah.
pros and cons to that, but you're probably looking for an older build, probably like, mid late 40s to early late 60s. And those, just highlight the neighborhoods by that age, and you'll probably find more built-in kind of libraries like that. Higher price points with that age. Mhm.
Oh yeah. All right, we got video guy Matt. Most of the current foreclosures are homes in default for years. On newer defaults, the lenders have been delaying filing NODs. Thus, the numbers are higher that the data shows. No giant wave, though. What do you think?
Mhm. That's exactly what I was describing earlier, is a lot of those were homes that were in default for years. I have clients that have been in default for years, and the banks are more willing to work with them as the environments are changing. So I think a lot of these foreclosures are ones that have been kind of pent up for a long time, and having a big equity move during COVID, it delayed a lot of that. So I'm not seeing a big wave. It's a slow trickle. It's a larger trickle than it was a year ago, but I don't expect a massive wave. People are still sitting on a mountain of equity. Property values are not going down, and people are sitting tighter with the interest rates. But I think this spring market will create a lot of activity, and that'll just create more comfort around the interest rates and people making moves.
Very cool. All right. So, can you touch
Mhm.
on the 55 plus market going forward? Will there be enough of these type of homes on the market? Thanks, Devin. Yeah, man, the 55 market, 55 active community market is super hot here. I heard Toll Brothers is gonna be doing another one. You got Taylor Morrison Elk Grove doing one. You got Shay up at Bickford Ranch. You got another one coming up in El Dorado Hills. There's gonna be a lot of active communities, and I know at least there's two popping up in Lincoln. So there's active communities are kind of the thing. I mean, honestly, like Lennar's got a couple too. Active communities are really, really on the rise in our area. What do you think, Corey? Have you been seeing them too?
Yeah, and then you have the heavy hitters like the Dell Webbs. Those are always going to attract the clientele that are looking for the active adult lifestyle kind of neighborhoods. I would really put together what the HOA fees are, what the amenities are, and really sit down and evaluate, am I going to be using that? Because most of my clients see all that on the upfront, and then when they really sit down to it and they're like, well, is it worth paying the $450 HOA fee for the tennis? I've never picked up a tennis racket in my life. It sounds great to go play tennis every day, but I don't know if I'll actually put that to use. So you want to balance those things. Sometimes you could find yourself paying for amenities that you don't need. And then in the opposite, sometimes you might be maximizing those amenities and, it could be the best place for you. There's always going to be a market for 55 plus communities. And the best part is the 55 plus buyers have that specific pool to purchase from, but they also have all the other resale and all the other new home communities to purchase as well. So they're probably one of the most qualified buyers out there.
I'll tell you something, though, these active communities, everyone's like, they look at it and they think, oh, retirement community. No, no. They're like giant cruise ships on land. I mean, the one over Regency Toll Brothers, that looks like Cabo. Then you got the one over Turkey Creek, Taylor Morrison, same thing. So not
Right.
only are you gonna have more active communities, but they're like upping the game as far as like pool service, as far as all this stuff. I mean, they're becoming really, really bougie out here too. So it's gonna be an interesting one. Like we're gonna have some you're gonna have some good choices. All right. While the paperwork and inspections can be a pain, I love affordable housing. I would like to start to own a quad within the next 5 years. I managed affordable for years and miss it. Like, here's the thing for me, and I will tell you this too. If you have questions about it, if you have anything regarding it, Corey lives and breathes in that world as well. As hit us on the Zoom call. We can talk to you a little bit about what your goals are. He works with a lot of people, gets them into it, gets them back into it, and everything too. Like, honestly, like it would be probably a good call, and we'd be more than happy to talk to you a little bit more about it. This channel, like I said, is going to be a great resource, but at the same time, like, we've got already a few clients that we're working with, and we have a lot more investors that are looking to jump into this market right now. Sacramento is growing, like the job diversity, all the new home building, all the stuff happening in other areas, the A's, X Games, guys. Sacramento is a hot, hot market. Jump in while you can. All right. Let's jump into some questions and everything too, Corey. I told you it was going to be lively tonight. All right, so here's the thing, guys. One of the things
Love
that
it.
we do with our listings, right? A lot of people don't do this. We actually, when we do social media posts and everything too, like on YouTube, a lot of our listings, we actually tailor make it to where they go. So when you see any of these videos that we do for our house tours, they're usually going to the Bay Area or Los Angeles. And this is one of the things I want to highlight too. I talk to a lot of realtors out there and they talk marketing. They're like, we do YouTube, we do this. You got to have analytics behind it. You got to know where all these videos are going. They could be going to Italy. You never know. So I would say if you're talking to someone who's listing your house, just make sure they know what they're talking about and they're not telling you blowing smoke about marketing, this and everything too. All right, hold on. You got thanks for doing this. I've learned so much over the years. Hey, no problem. Like I said, we're here for you. Zoom call away. All right. Hey, Mark, went to see the Rancho open house this weekend. What a beautiful, it is a beautiful house. And guess what? In contract, Michelle knocked it out of the park, over list. And like I said, Michelle's a rock star. And that was a beautiful, beautiful house. Now, the crazy part, Corey, about this one, it was in that kind of Anatolia area, right? Honestly, it looked like
Yeah.
Restoration Hardware inside. But we had so many doctors and nurses that were coming into the area because of Folsom Ranch, and they wanted something that was like this. They didn't want to go crazy in like a Toll Brothers. Taylor didn't have the inventory. Woodside built too close to the 50, and so they wanted to come here. So like for me, yeah, this thing's already done. This one's
Right.
gone.
Oh yeah. This is going to be $1 million home in 2 years. That's going to be the one of the very desirable neighborhood. There it's going to be pretty much similar to Folsom Ranch neighborhood. And yeah, I mean, a killer investment property, especially for the long term. Great
Oh,
location.
this thing, beautiful, beautiful house. All right, the next one we got Sun River. We had one offer in at 600, so we're working with that one right now too. Beautiful house, 3 and 2. Now check this out: 3-car garage in mint condition. One of the hottest listings on the market right now too. We actually had 4 showings today, and then we got this one in Carmichael. You want to hear something crazy about this one? It's a 3-bedroom, 4-bath on pretty much close to an acre of land. Okay. It's a custom home in a gated community that does not have HOAs and Melrose. Amazing. Like pretty much an
It's
acre. This
impressive.
house is absolutely beautiful. Unbelievable. So hopefully we'll get that one in contract as well too. And that one Nikki's doing. Um, so what do you think as far as home buyer demand? Do you think it's going to pop up as we head into the spring market?
I do. Absolutely. I think there's too much pent up demand, and just seeing the activity on a daily basis. I mean, my phone is ringing more each day as we move through the spring market. So, yeah, I don't see any let up on demand pending, something major happening with interest rates. I mean, I saw something today that they may offer uh, checks back from all the money that Doge is saving. So who knows? Stimulus and all this stuff with the new presidential team taking over. Who knows what can happen and what could stir up the market? But I don't see it going backwards in any way.
No. I call it the dance of the sevens, a little above seven, a little below seven. It's gonna be this way for a while.
Mhm.
Here's the thing, guys. Don't try to time the market. Time your life, don't time the market, like I always say. It's just I've seen more people lose than win. Okay, so let's get to some questions and then we'll let you go for the night, Corey. All right, this map is ancient. State Highway 85. Guys, it was a thumbnail for the video I did on Friday. I apologize, but I will tell you this, blame Google. They need to update those maps. All right. Roseville, best deals for new construction homes. Window 2 feet from the sidewalk. No, thank you. What do you think? Another thing, too, that I've noticed about a lot of the new homes, it seems like the driveway and they're really getting closer and closer to the sidewalks. What do you think of that?
Yeah, yeah, it's getting tougher and tougher to fit, like a Toyota Camry in your driveway if you have a work truck for work. I mean, some of those communities won't allow you to park on the street either, so you really have to pay attention to that. But I'll say, when one buyer says 2 feet from the sidewalk, who would want that? No, thank you. There's five more buyers saying, I love this. It's turnkey. I don't have to do any maintenance. I don't want the yard. This is amazing for me. Um, so I think buyers are harder and more. Uh, they're so focused on what they want that it's so easy to critique what other buyers are looking for. You don't have to really focus on what other buyers are looking for. Just focus on what you want and what you like. I understand where they're coming from, but at the same time, I have plenty of buyers that would love that home.
Great point. Straight up. I mean, I work with buyers all the time. Like one person wants one person. Yeah. That's why also I will tell you one thing about Sacramento. Not only is it great to have so many diverse areas to live in, so many like different type of landscapes, communities, different house styles and everything too. It really does make Sacramento, the Sacramento metro area, an area where like you can literally find whatever you want here. You want to live on a golf course? Yeah. Which one you want to go? You want to live with a house with views? You want a house with land? You want this? You want that? Guys, we got it all here in Sacramento. All right. Do you visit the Crocker Art Museum regularly? Some really good art and a lot of new age WTF art. I mean, it is a what is it? But I'm glad we have it. What do you think of the Crocker Art Museum?
I have a list of a lot of like the museums in the area that I've been wanting to go to, but I haven't made it there. So that's still on my list to hit. My kids go to the Children's Museum all the time. They've been dying to take me there. So I need to get out and hit some of these more museums, but I haven't seen it yet.
I think downtown and the culture and art scene in Sacramento will be popping sooner than later.
Mhm.
All right, moving to Sacramento. Moved from Texas to Roseville in December so far. We love it. What do you think about that? A lot of people coming in from Texas, a lot of people coming in from Florida. California seems to be attracting a lot of different people. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I moved back, 2 clients that moved to Tennessee. We have one that's in Idaho that moved back. The majority of my clients 2 years ago all moved to Tennessee, Florida, Texas, you name it. So I'm seeing a majority of those people move back. Not a majority. I'll take that back. Some of those people are moving back. I'm hearing more people who have moved out of California express negative feedback about moving out, where before that first year that they move, it's all positive about where they move to. And so, who knows if that will lead to a migration backwards. I think a lot of people are moving out of the state for a lot of various reasons. Um, and then that crosses over into the political space as well, which we don't need to get into. But um, I think people are realizing out of state that realizing that California can be a fantastic place to move, and I think we're seeing more people that didn't grow up here moving into the state than we probably are seeing move out. If that makes sense, yeah.
Here's how I think. I think we're spoiled. I think the weather's great. I mean, what was last
Mhm.
tornado you felt? Hurricane, earthquake. I mean,
Right,
we're
right.
spoiled here in Sacramento. It's like honestly, we see the seasons change. Yes, it's a little hot in summer. You get a pool, and it's actually you can do that here for like under like what 550, six
Hmm.
hundred thousand dollars. I mean, like we are so spoiled here in Sacramento that I run into that same thing. A lot of times people move out and they're like, I wish I could move back in, but the barrier to get back is just too much. I just sold out and I can't come back.
It's
I
brutal.
get it.
Right.
But for me, I think we're spoiled. I think we have it really, really good here. And I think for the most part, like, people don't realize it until they leave. For me, I look at Texas, and if you are from Texas or you love Texas, awesome. The humidity, like, it's just the weather. I just not a big fan. Just myself. Californians, like, if Corey wanted to, him and I could hit the slopes and be snowboarding tomorrow, and then at the end of the evening, be back home with the family. I mean, it's that much. It's that everything's accessible here. So for me, I absolutely love it, and I try not to take it for granted ever. All right, what do you
Absolutely.
got,
And
Corey?
it's hard to get all of that, especially within a Sacramento. Sorry, I don't know if my connection's a little fuzzy here, but um, it's hard to get all of that, especially in an area that's experiencing growth. It's not like it's capped out and it's hard to get in and it's impacted. It's still growing. It's still on an uptrend, and more companies are pouring into this. We're getting better restaurants, population growth, so it's only going to get better.
All right, we got Rodrigo. Okay, hello. I have an older home in Folsom, 3 bed, 1 bath. It needs to be updated, and but it's in good condition overall. Should I hold on to the property or sell it? Zilla said it's worth 511 right now. I'm going to tell you something straight up. If it was me, and I'm a realtor here, I'd probably call Corey. This is the stuff he loves. I know he's probably salivating right now because he always
I
posts on
am.
Instagram. He's like, I don't care what house it is. I will. Blah, blah, blah." So like, Corey's a good dude. Honestly, he's not gonna like try to sell it if it's. He'll tell you the real deal. So I'd probably reach out to Corey and just talk to him a little bit about it. If you want to hit the Zoom link, you can. What do you think, Corey? Straight up though, based on what he's saying, 3-1, 511. Should he sell? What do you think?
I probably know the exact neighborhood that this property is in just by the specs and the price. Um, for this type of property, you have a very good window of return on investment for certain upgrades to the home. So, unfortunately, it's not a simple, hey, here's what you do. I can give it to you right over this. It would take me looking at the property and telling you, hey, paint is going to cost this, flooring is going to cost this, but the property may not need that. We need to evaluate how much you're going to have to put into the property because we need to make sure your return on investment is at least 50% or better than what you're going to put into it, if that makes sense. So we want to double your money on the investment you make on improving the home on the sale. So we have to sit down and look at those things. And I come from a construction background. That was my upbringing. So when I go into the home, I'm really looking at it from kind of a contractor's viewpoint, if you will. So it'll take some specific analysis, but this is something we can do in less than an hour's time with a site visit. We come out, see the home, put this together. I'll bring you comparables as we go, and then decide what is worth the return on investment and not. And then I have the contractors to help you do that if needed.
I bring on the best guests, guys. Bar none, straight up. All right. Don't move to EDH. It's horrible. Stay away. I'm going to guess that's a little bit of like, you live there, you love it, but you don't want anyone else to move it in.
That's
Eldorado
what it
Hills,
sounds like.
guys. Yeah, I love Eldorado Hills. I love me some Eldorado Hills. Best views and everything too. Yeah, I love that area. It's just a little too far away, or else I probably would have jumped in there, but that's it. All right, wait, hold on. Manuel says, no one is paying 5K for South Sac. It's not in South Sac. That's why. All right, we got the next one. Boom. There's a severe lack of denser housing projects in the area. When I see development in place like Hills on the 50, Folsom near Costco is, I remember how beautiful the pristine hills were before all the homes. Guys, I'm going to tell you something straight up. Like, as much as I'm a realtor, as much as everything too, it hurts when I see so many houses being put in areas like Folsom and El Dorado Hills. I know we need housing. I know people are moving in, but there's got to be a limit. Like, that's what happened. I grew up in Marin County, and we had so much land, so much stuff, and people were building homes. And it's just like we lost a lot of our beautiful landscape. And like, I just don't want to see that happen to the Sacramento area. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yes, there's got to be houses, new homes, and everything too, but I really don't want to see that. What do you think, Corey?
I agree. It's hard to, I think a lot of people have, I would say, a good stereotype. And so I think that a lot of them get, blamed when they see these big developments happening. And a lot of these things, the tough part is like your last show that you had with Vitali, these projects have usually been in development for 10, 15, 20 years. And then so everybody gets upset once they see them going up, but nobody's really paying enough attention to stop them before they go up. So, if you care about stuff like this, then you have to get involved early on. You got to go to the county and figure out what projects are currently happening, or go to On-Site Observer and see what is going on. And if that is opposing to you in some way, then speak up and take action. That's all I can say. But I agree with you. It's hard to see that level of change in an area so quickly.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so we have a question from Manuel. What's a good area that has SMUD in Sacramento County? I would say for me it depends on your price point. I like Folsom from anywhere between 800 to maybe 1.2. I like the College Glen area. I've always loved that area because I think it's great for first-time home buyers, but it's also great for investors. I like the Oak Park area. Certain parts of it I like. I like Natomas, North Natomas at times too, just because like you do have flood insurance there too, but it's between the airport and downtown. What are some of and the Pocket? And guys, by the way,
Pocket,
this Friday I'm
Greenhaven, yeah.
dropping 10 neighborhoods with no HOA, no Melrose this Friday at 7 p.m. These are areas and communities and neighborhoods that I'm looking into myself because I think I might be a little bit fed up with my HOA. So these are communities, neighborhoods. Guys, Friday at 7, I'm dropping this video of my 10 spots that I'm looking at. And the last one is going to be is off the hook. So stay tuned for that. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, I was gonna add Pocket, Greenhaven. Those are really up and coming neighborhood. And I learned something interesting on every corner, I believe. And don't I could be wrong on this, but every corner in the Pocket neighborhood, I believe, has a duplex on the corner. I just sold one there last year, but the duplexes in those neighborhoods have really good value. And if you're looking for an investment as a live in one, rent the other out, help out your mortgage, that is a fantastic neighborhood I would pay attention to. Um, yeah, Rancho Cordova. I mean, I love parts of Carmichael and Orangevale that all have SMUD. So it really depends your price point, I would say, and what you're looking for in day to day lifestyle wise.
Okay. What do you think of Antelope?
Up and coming. It is
Would you
Roseville
say
adjacent. Parts of Antelope feel like Roseville. Um, Yeah, but the price point, well, it depends. It's pocketed. You get some
hmm,
great parts of Antelope, and you can have some rougher parts. But if you're in that price point for Antelope, say 5 to 700,000, I think you can find an excellent property there. And I think that's the next couple years.
all right. So we got Emmanuel. Antelope is Tucoloke North Island, which is the worst part of Sacramento. Here's the thing about like I would say areas like Antelope, areas like North Highlands and everything too. I'd say like you're gonna see Sacramento just like boom. Like we're booming right now, and people might not see it. Areas
Right.
that are like, the barrier entry is low, you're going to see those places kind of transform. I mean, you got Folsom with all the stuff that's happening there. You got the new sports center. You got all the different projects happening there. You have the connector happening between what's called 599, or the freeways over there too. You have all the stuff that's happening downtown. You're going to see Sacramento, this metro area as a whole, just change. So I guess what I'm saying is like there are some areas that for you might not be like the perfect spot, but the same spot, it's like the perfect rule of real estate. Buying the lowest, most affordable house in an area that's developing and growing, because everything else is just going to go higher and higher and higher. I mean, if you look at Citrus Heights, for example, like the price point there, you can probably get something in the fours there too. But if you ever look at it, those things fly because it's in a great location. It's up and coming. Up and coming is where you're going to make a lot of depreciation. Don't you think, Corey?
100%. Yeah, I remember when I first got into being in an active agent role. I was always involved in real estate beforehand, but not as an active agent. And when I became an active agent, homes in Citrus Heights were selling for 350,000. You usually get almost anything under 400,000. Few of them above that. Very few above 450. And now you can barely touch anything in the area for 500,000. So I've seen it myself in areas that have kind of gentrified and increased their own price point. Um, I think North Highlands is not. I would disagree with that in my own opinion, that I wouldn't say it's the worst in Sacramento. I know many other neighborhoods that I would not advise investors or people to look at before North Highlands. So I think it all depends on what you're used to, what feels right. I see his comment now about Plumas. I think there's a lot of opportunity going into that way and into Yuba City and Plumas Lake. It all depends what you're looking for. Are you looking for a primary home? If so, why are you looking there? Or is it close to work? Is it close to family? Is it close to
Yeah.
friends? When I'm helping a buyer, I take all these things into account and let's get you the best property, regardless of what the name is, what city it's in. Let's get you the best property that fits your life.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing for me. I think Plumas Lake, Linda, that whole area, Olivehurst, I think with all the building that's happening there, like Cresty and everything too, I do see that like those areas are kind of like, you can get yourself a big bang for your buck, nice big house out there as well too. But you definitely have to vibe out the area. It's a little bit more farmy and everything too. So I would say for the most part, like those are things that you just got to feel out. I have a client, we were showing them Rancho and then we were showing them like Linda and Plumas. And basically they were looking at Rancho. They're like, this is a little bit, it feels a little far, but I see things are close by. I'm good with. And they were like, well, we're going to take a look at Linda and Plumas. And I'm like, wow, man, if you think Rancho is far away from stuff like, and then the second they went to
Yeah.
Linda and Plumas, they're like, no, this is so far away. So you got to feel it out yourself. What's called, and Manuel says a lot of new
100%.
builds are offering 5%. Yeah, you're going to get a lot of incentives. But I will tell you this, and this is where it gets really interesting. Incentives normally, the better the incentives, the more the project's a little bit more thirsty for like selling. Do you know what I mean? Like if you have a community that doesn't have high incentives, chances are they're selling like hotcakes, right? The higher the incentives, you got to ask yourself, okay, what's going on here too? So just keep that note. All right. Oak Park is up and coming. Yeah, I like Oak Park. I think Oak Park is, I mean, I'd say I would describe Oak Park as street to street kind of area, but I think Oak Park is great. Um, Del Paso is getting better. Yeah, I think what you're gonna notice too is honestly, yeah, Plumas is in PG&E, which I'm not a big fan of at all. I will say this though, you guys, like I've seen this happen like in Marin County, like areas that maybe weren't the best, like Marin City, everything just changes, and everything levels up. So it'll be interesting to think in like 2035 what like North Highlands is going to be like Del Paso, because I think we are on such a growth spurt right now that I think a lot of people like who bought in Citrus, North Highlands, Oak Park will be smiling ear to ear in the near future because they'll be like, yeah, like back in the day, this is why, I was thinking about selling, but because I heard Mark and Corey, I kept my house and now I'm pretty happy about it. So I think it could be a good thing for everybody. All right. Thanks, Ben. Well, I appreciate you all these questions too. I really appreciate it. Seems like 65 will have to go 4 lanes up there, and the project will be a nightmare. Oh my, yeah. There's going to be a lot of growth. Okay, one thing, Corey, I will tell you about Sacramento, which strikes me as being odd, is it seems like Sacramento thought that they would stick to being like maybe 5 people living here. You got like no road infrastructure. Now they're kind of like putting it in like after the growth. They're like, all right, wait, hold on. We
Right.
got people moving in. We need to do this. And yeah, I'm with you. Like, there's certain things like I don't know. It's just crazy. About I don't know. Hopefully the roads get in 2030. We're rocking. We got the Amtrak. We got the light rail. But I know a lot of people when I posted about the light rail, they were like, "Good luck. That ain't happening." So we'll see. All
Mhm.
right. How about Saratoga and El Dorado Hills? Saratoga, is that the Elliott home community? Just want to
Yeah, I believe so.
clarify.
Or it is either Elliott, I believe, or I know it's adjacent to all of the
PG.
other Elliott builds right there in El Dorado Hills. Uh,
What do you think?
yeah, it's a fantastic new community. They have a great park that my family and I go to. I have 4 kids, and so we sneak in. It is a gated neighborhood, but during construction, they had built this beautiful, gorgeous park amidst that community, and we would sneak in there. And they have zip lines and all kinds of crazy slides. And so I love that community. A lot of those homes in that community have beautiful views. Looking into the foothills, you're not getting Tahoe views. Some of them do stare right at the freeway, but you're on an elevation, so you have incredible views from that community. I really like that neighborhood, and they're fairly affordable for a new build with an El Dorado Hills address. Yeah, fantastic community.
I'll tell you, if it's a Saratoga, I think it is. There are a couple lots there where the backyard literally like goes up. I mean, it feels
Hmm.
like, I don't know, 25 feet. I had some clients go there and look at that house and they're like, and I was just joking around. They're like, yeah, let's put in a water slide. I mean, so some of the lots are a little funky, but El Dorado Hills, I like some of the Elliott floor plans as well too. I don't know. I mean, like you said, El Dorado Hills, like address close to the fire department. You have to deal with homeowners insurance. I mean, there is a lot to be
Right.
said by that. And I think Elliott's a good builder. So I think, I don't know. I like it. All right. Do you know if Lincoln is a PG&E? Yep, it is PG&E. All right. Is Sacramento video of all areas driving distance towards downtown? I would say depending on where you're living. If you hit me with a location, I can tell you about how far it is from downtown. Um, it varies.
Yeah.
Also, you gotta decide on traffic cycles too, morning, afternoon, all that stuff too. All right, I'm
Yeah,
going,
all the
yes, Elliott
neighborhoods we've
Homes.
talked about though are all within like probably 30 minutes of driving distance to downtown Sacramento. Almost every neighborhood we've mentioned, maybe like Lincoln, some of those Plumas Lake, those ones are outside, but almost all
Yep.
of the neighborhoods we've talked about are within 30, 35 minutes of downtown.
All right, Manuel says, what about Woodland Davis? I like Woodland. Davis is pricey, but Woodland's nice. I like Woodland. I think Woodland's nice. I think it's like, it's a little further out there if you're commuting to downtown Sacramento, but I think it's a great option for that area specifically. Everything's 30 minutes from downtown. Yeah, which is nice in Sacramento. Like I said, we want to keep you guys close by. Any thoughts on reviews about housing developments in Northlake? Ah, Lennar. Yeah, I don't know. I hear there's a fire sale for that stuff, and I see even people moving out of that stuff. I got my buddy Michael Mayo, who had like his clients are moving out somewhere else. I think they're moving here to Gold River. They're selling their homes. I've I've never seen a lot. I've never seen so many resale new homes in a community before. So that tells me a little something. What do you think? Have you heard anything about Northlake?
Not specifically in regards to that, but I do coach my clients on looking at resale new builds, because that is a kind of a market that a lot of people don't look at. Well, I I take that back. Some people are looking there, but it's a great way to get a new construction home. You kind of miss out on some of the incentives, but you might get the fully landscaped backyard. I think it's a great way to purchase.
All right, a scene one built for 700K. Yeah, it's weird. That community, it was like Northlake was the community for like a brief like 6 months, and then it just kind of slowed down. And now it's kind of like there's a lot of development out there too. It just I don't know what it was. It almost just hit kind of a little bit of a stall, and then there was like a kind of a bargain sale going on. I don't really know too much about that. We got Ivan says, is Lennar not a good builder overall? Here's the thing about build quality. I think every community is a little different. I'd say go on the forums to look about Lennar specifically. For me, the thing that kills me about Lennar is the communication. Everyone I've talked to has basically been like, the communication and the sales staff was just not good. They didn't communicate with me. They didn't like walk me through the project or the whole thing. They didn't allow me to do inspections. And after we closed, there were things that I needed fixed, and they weren't really, the communication wasn't there. Now, for me, that's a big red flag because I think this is going to be probably one of the biggest purchases you make in your entire life. If you don't have people who really respect that and understand that and are with you along the journey for that, like into a little real estate therapy, like for me, that's a huge red flag. I personally, I want someone who kind of basically walks me through it, is there for questions, and if I have issues or problems or anything else, I need that person there. And what I've heard about Lennar and what I've experienced from them is they're just not that type of builder. That's what I would say. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, I've heard, and I think it just comes with the territory of any sort of large scale builder that's, nationwide. They have multiple communities. It's they're just churning out so much product once that it's hard to keep track of those details where you have those higher end, more niche type of builders, that pay more attention to those things. And I'll be honest, I've had clients buy a KB home or Lennar home and have fantastic experiences, especially with the warranties, services, and all of that. And I've also had the opposite, unfortunately, with even higher end builders. So I think the squeaky wheel gets the grease. I think as a buyer, you need to be very diligent and you need to have good representation that will push these builders to uphold their level of the contract and make sure that their warranty stuff taken care of, because a lot of times they skimp on that stuff and they seem like this big powerhouse, but ultimately they signed a contract and they're obligated to it. So you as a buyer need to be very diligent in holding them to that. It's something I really
I think that's a great point. Our Lennar is going to have many flaws, but if you catch them first year, they're good on warranty. Good. Yeah, like I said, the main thing is, I think also with Lennar is just working with a salesperson there that actually cares and actually is attentive and actually is there. I think if you have someone like that and you kind of can interview the superintendent or talk to them a little bit, I think it might be a better process. For me, I mean, I run into people all the time about Lennar and they're just not really. I would say this: go to any other new home community and ask them specifically what they think of Lennar and see what their eyes do. That might be able to tell you a little bit how they feel about the community. But overall, I would say like go to the forums and take a look at it and do your own kind of due diligence on that. All right, so let's go to this one. Northlake was built on farmland, maybe foundation issues. I doubt it, but at the same time, like I can't say yes or no. I don't know that too much about the product. Northlake just feels depressing. Yeah, it does. I've driven out there. Well, no, here's the thing, because they're like man-made lakes, the whole 9 yards, all this kind of stuff too. And like I've been out there and it just looks kind of, back in 2008 when there were these communities that were kind of like built, but they were kind of like just sitting.
right. They're
That's
almost like
kind of what it
desolate.
looks like to me. Like it was just like, okay, huh, interesting. A little, yeah, I feel that. All right, Northlake just feels depressing. All right, thank you. There are two places I'm looking at: Northlake and Anatolia. Look, here's the thing for you. I would say this: you lose nothing by checking out Northlake. Lose nothing by checking out Anatolia. Figure out which house works for you. I would say one of the things that I like the most, and I tell people this too: floor plan. If you can find the floor plan that works for you, that out of me for me is huge. And a lot of people like will be so like enamored with the countertops or this or that, or like the formal dining room that literally nobody uses. So focus on the floor plan, focus on what you really need. All right. All right. Just because Northlake was on farmland, foundation tends to shift, is a nightmare. It'll be interesting about that. There is a validity to that. Okay, Anatolia, I've always felt was too close to the dump. The dump is planned to get dramatically larger than it is now, full capacity. I guess Anatolia area has even growing mountain views. Funny. All right, I can't believe how much they're planning out by the Athens Avenue dump in Lincoln and Roseville. That thing is rank.
Well, I would say I would kind of almost combat that a little bit of like I've been to Natolia, I've sold in Natolia, I've helped buyers buy in Natolia and Anatolia, and I don't I wouldn't I mean maybe if you live in Anatolia, correct me if I'm wrong, but I wouldn't say that the dump nearby, which it's not right next door, has never affected the livelihood of the people who own that neighborhood. But I could be wrong in that. But when you're in that neighborhood, you don't even think that you're close. It doesn't. You don't smell anything. You don't see anything. Um, so I would never associate those two together. But
Here's what I think, and I've said this multiple times on the channel. In fact, I didn't say this because I know you guys hear me say it enough. I think the Anatolia Rancho area, that part of it, I think it's the best bang for your buck in the Sacramento area. I think that the location with the connector coming in, I think the proximity to Folsom Ranch, the new schools being built between Folsom Ranch and Anatolia, I think that like there are so many positives to that area. I think they're giving the best incentives for new homes in that area as well too. You're kind of like 10, 12 minutes from like Folsom. You got the Costco on White Rock. You got Zinfandel shopping. You got a lot of stuff developing in that area, like that Anatolia area as well too. So for me, I look at it and I say, if you look price for new homes and areas and everything too, it's hard not to look at the Rancho area and say like it makes sense. So for me, like I said, I mean, West Roseville, it's hard to get anything under $600,000. Rancho, you can still do it. You can go to Tri Point, you can go to Woodside, you can go to like Khov. There are still builders doing that. So for me, that's kind of a rare bird for me, and it's not too far from everything. And you're right next to a big, big player in our area, Folsom Ranch. So for me, yeah, I'm with you. I just didn't want to keep going on that whole best bang for your buck. All right. All right, hold on. Boom. Is the Sunset West area, never mind the stink on the other side, a fitment? What do you think of that whole area?
I mean, it's gorgeous. I think the homes are. I like the floor plans in that Park West. fitment area. I think they're good size for the neighborhoods. Um, I know they had a little bit of problems with the school shift, the school district shift in that area. People bought in the Park West neighborhood, and then the whole school district shifted, so they got kind of downgraded, and that really frustrated a lot of buyers, understandably. And it's ever changing. I I know that commercial developments need time and they need occupied residential roofs at a certain number before they can develop those commercial plazas and shopping centers. And so I think that's an area to watch right now. But when you're there, it feels a little bit far away from everything, even in Roseville, and then especially from anything else in Sacramento. You just feel like you're kind of on this little island out there. It's a little far away to get to, but it's gorgeous, and I understand the attraction to it.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't realize that Folsom back in the day was just this pile of dirt. Yeah, hey, and then it grew into what it is. Roseville the same way, and now West Roseville, you got areas like Vineyard, you got areas like parts of Lincoln, you got areas like Rancho that are like up and coming, growing areas that could be the next one. You even got Bickford Ranch out there. Who knows? All right, Manuel says, any other info on KB new home off the 80, just off Norwood? I know KB's got like 3 or 4 communities that just popped up. One off the 65 in Whitney Ranch that seems to be really doing like getting a good waiting list. I'll find out about Archer Estates. I don't know too much about it. I think that's the one that's in Sacramento that's in the 4s, I think, but I'll double check. Do you know anything about this one, Corey?
Not specifically on this one. I would just say, looking at KB, especially if you're a stickler on high end finishes, if you like nicer end finishes, if you're wanting that kind of beautiful, well put together, um, more luxurious feel, it may not be the best fit for you, but that comes with that better entry level price point. So just and I know that KB Homes incentives vary dramatically from site to site. So just make sure you're looking at those things.
Yeah, I think the thing is also like KB will give you a little bit bigger of a house for the price point. And in some areas like Elk Grove, that Lexington community was the only one selling in the 400. So like Corey said, there's the right builder for the right person. And like I said, it's still a new home. So, hey, that's not bad. All right. But you got Matt, there's a rendering plan near Antolia that I hear generates the majority of the smell, but some of the new builds there are so close to the growing Mount Dump. Here's the thing I will say about that area. It'll be interesting to see when the Braden project comes in and how it correlates to everything out in Anatolia. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing. I mean, Braden is this green community. And for me, like I said, I'm kind of with Corey still in this one. I mean, you're going to find stuff about almost every place you live in the United States. I think that for me, I look at Anatolia and the Rancho area and I'm like, it's still an amazing community. I mean, it really, really is for everything. Like I said, and I still stick to my guns on the best bang for your buck. Name me an area that you think is faster growing, price point, and incentives. It's a hard one to beat. All right.
It is. I'd agree with that.
I'm all about location and SMUD. Yeah, I don't think at this point in my life I would actually move into PG&E territory just because of everything that's going on with that too. I'm very, very SMUD happy. All right. Manuel, let's go to this one. They can build these things so quickly, but they don't fix the roads at the same time, same speed. I agree with this. I was actually thinking this last week as I was driving some through, I forget where it was, and I was going like, man, they're putting in all this road work, but I was feeling the potholes on the roads. So hopefully they change that up a little bit. It would be nice. What do you think, Corey?
I mean, the 50 has been under construction for a decade, it seems. I mean, I can't imagine the 65 widening project. It seems like these things just take forever. I mean, I think everybody's in agreement with you. Can't fix these roads. I know a lot of people. I know Folsom Ranch is really pulling heavily on El Dorado Hill or El Dorado irrigation, so they're pulling water from a whole different county. And I know there's issues with that. People in the area getting frustrated when you see your water bill going up for a city not even in your county. So I think a lot of these things, California wide, are going to get more emphasis on them of how do we support these new communities, these new homes. It's not just new home demand. You have to make sure you have police, fire, electricity, water, power, all that stuff to support this. And I think California is going to have to figure a lot of things out to give people what they want in order in terms of housing, but also managing the utility side, because we're at a point right now where taxes and insurance are making up more than 50% of a lot of people's mortgage payments. Now you imagine, water going through the roof, electricity going through the roof, and your mortgage payment's going to be one of the cheaper payments that you have in your, monthly overhead. So I
Oh
think
no.
California has a lot out there.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's crazy times. All right, Ben Johnson says must have solar of PG&E. Completely with you. If I lived in PG&E country, solar would be me straight up. This is interesting. I did not know this. Check this out. Roseville Power, I think, is tied with PG&E. We just took a nasty spike. I've been hearing about this kind of stuff too. That Roseville Power is getting more and more expensive. I hadn't heard anything like this though. This is gonna be interesting. I'll have a little bit of an update for you guys on this one. Um, yeah, I don't know. I love my SMUD. I will tell you that much. All right. Do you know any gated communities in Sacramento? Oh man, I know so many gated communities in Sacramento. Do you? I mean, there's like,
Oh, tons, countless. I would just say
oh
like
yeah,
what's important about being gated, because there's what's important that my question would be why is that important? Not
Y-
saying it, like it's not important to you, but what specifically about that property being gated is making you attracted to that property? Because then I could probably find you know which specific gated neighborhood would be the best fit.
for me, the gate. I'm a big fan of not having a gated gate, to be honest, because it just slows me down. Getting out to go see a client. All
Mhm.
right, hold on. We got this. You can finally drive on Madison at FOCH. It's incredible. 20 years in the making. They finally made it happen. All right. Here we go, Harold. East Sac County roads need attention. They have needed it for a long time. I agree totally with that. Um, really, Madison is done drivable. All right. So we got some more stuff and then we'll let you go for the night, Corey. I told you this was going to be question packed. So you're prepped.
I love,
2 cups
I
of
love it.
coffee, right?
Oh yeah.
All right. As someone who lives in Roseville, the traffic is already horrible at Galleria. So I can imagine how worse it'll be with all these new projects coming in. What do you think? For me, honestly, 65, 80, that whole area, probably the worst traffic in the Sacramento area for me. What do you think?
I grew up in Los Angeles. I lived there for 25 years and dealt with some of the worst traffic. Had to commute a majority of my adult life, and so seeing the traffic here, that is equatable to LA traffic. It's a short span compared to what Los Angeles is, but that area is so impeded with so much drive. And so what I see happening in the future is the current owners that own those properties over the next 5 years, you're going to see those people getting out of that area and going to West Roseville or getting out to Auburn, Penryn, Newcastle, all those surrounding areas that have a little more space, or you'll see them going out of state. I just see those growing. It has to expand somewhere. Everybody's getting concentrated into that area of Roseville. And then the new builds surrounding it are just compounding the issue. So what I see is kind of a changing of the guard is where the current people who own that, as we go through this transition phase of development, will slowly either stay or move on, and new owners who kind of want that more built up kind of city feel will move in, and it will keep progressing.
All right, Manuel says 99 is worse. I think we got a bunch of bottlenecks currently in the Sacramento area. 65, 80, I think 99. I think one of the ones that they should be the most worried about, East Bidwell with Folsom Ranch. That is going to be a problem. That's going to be a big problem. So that's something too. So yeah, there is traffic issues. All right. Say goodbye to HOA fees. This cut and leaving out Woodley, Woodley is crazy. It's the CP Street, El Dorado Hills without Melrose or HOA. Guys, honestly, Friday, 7 p.m., I'm dropping 10 neighborhoods in the Sacramento area that I'm considering myself moving out of Gold River for. No Melrose, no HOAs, no hidden fees. So tune in Saturday or tune in Friday at 7 when I drop that out. I've been working on it for about 3 days, so you guys should enjoy the video. All right. Is
Yeah,
Midtown your go-to spot for nightlife? Wait, go for it.
Oh, and I personally, when she's referring to CP, that's Cameron Park. Woodley's a street in Cameron Park, adjacent to El Dorado Hills, and I personally live in Cameron Park. I think it's one of the most kind of, you get all of the benefits and pros and cons of El Dorado Hills, or you get all the pros of it, but you don't get a lot of the cons, and it's not as well known, so you get a little bit of benefit on the price too. So I see what she's saying, and I would definitely, if you're considering Folsom, El Dorado Hills, or anywhere along the 50, take a hard look at Cameron Park.
Let me ask you something. With all the development going on in Folsom and, like that whole area, do you see, and with East Ridge, that big community coming out in El Dorado Hills, do you see Cameron Park almost as like baby mini growing what El Dorado Hills is now, maybe the future? I mean, because I kind of see it that way.
Absolutely. And, it's sister city, Shingle Springs, which they share a zip code together. You're crossing over from this like suburban area of El Dorado Hills to more this suburban kind of wildland interface, because some of the properties in Cameron Park start growing from, a bulk of them are a quarter of an acre to a third of an acre. But very quickly on, as you move east, they quickly grow from 1 to 5 to 10 acre properties. And so if you're wanting a larger lot, you're wanting a little more space, you don't want the HOA, you want mature trees, you want more of that foothill feel with some elevation change. I mean, you can still get fully renovated homes in Cameron Park for around 650 or below. And that's like, a 2,200 square foot, 3-4 bedroom home on a third of an acre. Cameron Park has fire departments throughout it, and most of it is on city water. So it's kind of the cutoff point before you really get into heavy fire insurance, because you're on wells and septic systems from there on out. The city utilities kind of cut off from there as you go up towards, until you get to like Placerville.
There we go. He just answered that for you right there. Boom. All right. Ben Johnson says Cameron Park, hidden gem. Yeah. Cameron Park, for me, I like it. I also like the airport. What's it? Airport Estates, where you can like live right on the, like you drive your plane in. I mean, that's pretty cool. All right. Ben says half acre all around the golf course.
Yeah.
What was that, Corey?
Ben's my neighbor. He lives right down the street from me.
I keep telling Ben to come on the show, and I think I'm like, come on, man, hop on the show. So hopefully he'll be on the show one of these days. It'll be fun. He's a really good guy. Does great Instagram stuff as well too. So I'd love to have him on the show. All right, here we go. Harold says South Lincoln is putting in major shopping and has a Kaiser office. Lincoln is was the fastest growing city in California, and like there's so much land and they're growing like crazy. Lincoln is going to be their own thing probably by 2035. It's growing like crazy. It has a little bit more of like an Arizona vibe, but I like it. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we go out there for the pumpkin patch all the time. Yeah, it is a little bit more flat, so it has a little more of that kind of Texas feel to it. But if you want property, I mean, it's a gorgeous area, and you get a lot of newer construction out there. Yeah, depending on where you work, if you can avoid the 65, that's a really great spot.
All right, Manuel says Lincoln is nice, but PG&E, yeah, PG&E is there. Our Manuel says Cameron Park is nice, but I hear the fire insurance is outrageous. I would say, here's the thing, and this is what I would say straight up. Talk to my buddy Javier Ortiz, really good guy. Give him an address and have him kind of run numbers for you. I would say you might find a house at close to fire departments, easy accessible. So I would say just talk to him, especially when you get into areas like in El Dorado Hills, Cameron Parks, the Rocklands, and everything too. All right, let's go to this one. This one should be a fun one. Since you lived in Southern California, I'm planning to move to Sacramento area. What would be a good suburb? I live in a nice neighborhood in Riverside area.
Okay, got it. So I grew up in Torrance, a little bit different area than Riverside, but I know Riverside County very well. I think you would absolutely love the Anatolia area. Depending on what your price point is, Anatolia is going to feel very similar to where you're at. It's going to be kind of open. You're not kind of burdened with a ton of development like you would feel in a Folsom or maybe an Elk Grove. I think moving further up the 50, if you got into a Cameron Park, I think that would be a great fit for you. You're going to enjoy the weather up here. You're going to still have the heat in the summers, but you're going to get that cold. So it's going to feel a lot closer to home than you probably think, but a lot more trees. That's one thing that I was not expecting when I should have expected it. But moving up here, it was, I was used to a concrete jungle with palm trees everywhere. And then, getting used to the mature greenery here. It was amazing. But for Riverside County, I would look at Elk Grove, Rancho Cordova. If you're going more to the suburbs of like Citrus Heights, Orangevale, I think you could find some options there, but you might be put off. It might feel a little too suburban for you. You probably love Lincoln as well.
All right, I'm going to throw a wild card at you. If you look on this YouTube channel and type in Serrano, you're going to see me driving around in a golf cart. In my opinion, one of the most SoCal feeling high-end communities in the Sacramento area. And it might appeal to you. I mean, honestly, like, I don't know too many people it doesn't appeal to. All right.
Yeah, and it depends if you live in Riverside. I mean, Riverside is a big area, and there's luxury homes there, and then there's smaller starter homes, there's rough areas, there's good areas. So it really depends on where you're at. But like you said, click on the Zoom and I'd be happy to give you my personal opinion depending on exactly where you're at.
All right, guys. And like I said, Zoom link below. All right, Ben Johnson, Ben, half acres all around the golf course. Maybe I'll be checking out Cameron Park. All right, I like that. Cameron Park, I would sure move there. Cameron Park is getting a lot of love, closer to Tahoe. All right. Wheatland Pumpkin Patch. Wheatland's blown up. I think Wheatland, I like the bang for your buck in Wheatland. All right, Riverside is better than Sac. Let's call it different. Thank you. All right. Lincoln is great. Would move there. Lincoln is great. Like I said, the only thing, like you mentioned, is the PG&E part, but I don't know. Still pretty good. All right. I love this one. Do you know anything about Sacramento? Have you been downtown at night? It's a zombie apocalypse. That's one of your videos about Delta Shores, and you were saying there's no shopping in Elk Grove. I'm not sure you're familiar with these areas. Delta Shores has 5,000 new homes. Elk Grove has a population of 100,000 people. They have tons of shopping in Elk Grove. Nobody's driving 45 minutes to Roseville to shop. Okay, first of all, I will say this. One is, I'm sure a lot of people do their shopping in Amazon. I do. Now, I'm not digging on Elk Grove. Hopefully nobody feels that way. I'm saying with all the people moving into Elk Grove, I do think you guys deserve your own Apple store. I think you deserve your own nice commercial mall where you have West Elm, Restoration Hardware, Louis Vuitton, and all that stuff too. So for me, I'm not digging on it. I'm saying, like, with all the people moving into the area, I think you deserve more shopping, more commercial stuff too, more options, right? Maybe you're not a Louis Vuitton shopper. I'm not, but I'm saying, like, I don't see why Roseville has it and the new Elk Grove that's developing and growing shouldn't have it. So that's all I'm saying. So I didn't mean to offend. I'm just saying, like, I love Elk Grove. I've moved a lot of people to Elk Grove, but I think the shopping needs to step it up a little bit. What do you think, Corey?
I'd agree. I say we're probably 4 or 5 years away from all those big. One thing to be clear about is we're not saying there's nowhere to go shopping there. It's just when we're referencing it from a real estate professional standpoint, we're thinking of the big box shops. Of course, they have their Targets and their Walmarts and stuff like that. But yeah, the Galleria, where you have this, mecca of these big retail shops there. I think Elk Grove deserves that. I think Roseville, they already have that. I think Folsom's going to be right. So, but yeah, I would say Elk Grove deserves that. And with the zoo moving into Elk Grove and it being so close to Sacramento downtown, they're just going to explode in the future. Plus, there's a lot of space for them to do that as you expand down south.
Oh, yeah. All right, nobody drives to shops anymore, dude. It's all online. I know, but what if you want it and it's coming the same day, but you want it in an hour? You can drive.
I have a family of four. I find myself constantly driving to probably once or twice a month to Roseville area to get something because I need it. It's in person, or you want to try it on, or whatever it may be. And so, even with a family of 4, I do that when necessary, but there's so much to do there that I look forward to it. We go there, we go out to dinner, you go to the mall, there's all kinds of things to do there. We just make a day of it. It's enjoyable.
Oh yeah. The only thing I don't like though there is the traffic and the parking.
It's terrible.
Not fun. All right.
Yeah.
My college roommate is in Elk Grove. I'm in North Roseville. We don't see each other much. I will say one thing. Someone said this on the channel today. Sacramento is a driving city. It just is a driving city. There's just the public transportation is basically zero. It is a driving city. And, you know, as we're growing and expanding, you got to have cars and everything too. I think something that a lot of people from the Bay Area, when they're looking at new homes or homes in general, they really discount the 3-car garage. And I'm saying, like, when those kids get older, you're going to want another spot. I think 3-car garages are almost essential when you move in the area. But because so many people come in from the Bay Area, they're maybe used to like 1 car or whatever, like they don't really think in those terms. But I mean, we are a driving city, wouldn't you say?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And there's amazing places right in between you two. You know, I mean, Midtown's right smack dab in between you guys. That's a great meeting point, you know. Split it up and I think you can still make it work.
Corey's going to be doing a barbecue so you guys can meet. We want you guys to get together.
Let's do it.
All right, Ivan, Elk Grove is missing a mall or larger lifestyle center. Yep. And that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm not digging on Elk Grove, but I'm saying, like, come on. With all the activity, with all the growth, the new train station, the zoo, Sky River Casino, and everything that's growing there. I mean, like, I said something that was pretty, like, interesting. I mean, Elk Grove has an Apple office, but no Apple store. Kind of weird, right? So, okay. Enough said about that. All right. It's nice to take the county cousins to see Tiffany and Gucci's, etc. I know, window shop. Oh man, I can't spend on those stores, even though they're pretty, I will admit, but I'm more like a Nordstrom Rack guy myself. All right.
Yeah.
Elk Grove needed to make extra lanes on Elk Grove Boulevard. Agreed. Elk Grove traffic is a mess. Absolutely. 100%. All right. Talk about zombie apocalypse. Step on RT for about 7 at night. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm okay. I'll be at home watching Netflix. All right. Braden is a 15-minute city. So if you like Hobbit Hole Prison and want to raise little prisoners, go for it. Look, guys, I was reporting what Braden is coming out. I'm not telling you anything more than we're going to see exactly what it's going to look like when it happens. And it's one of the first of a kind stuff happening here in Rancho. And it's going to be interesting how it blends into the landscape. What do you think about that project?
I mean, I think it's, you know, time will tell. I've seen projects that I think are just going to turn into a total mess, and they bring them around and it comes through and it actually works. And I've seen it go the other way where everything looks like it's going to go amazing and it goes sideways really fast. I think there's more negative going against it than there is positive, unfortunately. But we'll see. And a lot of these developments get caught up halfway, and then end up not even happening or end up getting bought out. I'm in a transaction. Well, I'm a part of a transaction right now where we're kind of almost budgeting for that, of a development project that's in development, and they're looking for open buyers to purchase it mid-project because they don't know if they want to carry it through. So a lot can change. That's all I would say.
All right. Well, Corey, thanks for coming on board. And like, guys, if you want to connect with Corey and myself, hit the Zoom link below and we will set up a time to talk to you guys a little bit about investing, commercial, residential, or just talking barbecues and pools in Sacramento. Ivan says Elk Grove had a beautiful design for the mall, built part of the structure, but the Great Recession hit 2007. That's the location of Sky River Casino. Yeah, they need another one. Like I said, thanks, Jets. No problem, Harold. Corey, any parting words for the audience out there about the new channel coming up, about investments in Sacramento, anything?
Yeah, if you like real estate and if you have an interest in it just from an ownership or investment standpoint, then you should absolutely check into what we're doing. We're going to break all this stuff down so it's easy, segmented bites. And if you want something specific, if you're like, look, I want to buy a duplex, I want to house hack, I want to, purchase a commercial property, triple net, whatever it is, we will coach you through it. We'll walk you through it, and we'll build the whole channel around doing that. So any questions, I'm an open book, and I know Mark is, and we're going to work as a team to give you guys everything that you're looking for. And we're excited to do it.
Okay, guys, hopefully you enjoyed the show. If you did, smash that like button. Also, feel free to subscribe to the channel. We are dropping a whole lot of content about the Sacramento area. We also do this live show every single Wednesday at 7 p.m. on YouTube, so tune in next week. And guys, if you are thinking about moving to the area, you might have additional questions, you're looking for the team to work with, we would love to talk with you. We have a Zoom link below. Set up a time to talk. We can educate you on the area, answer any questions you might have. Now, if you're someone who lives in Sacramento, and you're thinking about listing your home, reach out to our team. We'll show you a little bit about why we are separating ourselves from the pack: analytics, YouTube marketing, getting more eyeballs on your home. All right, guys, until next video. Whoop, one more thing, playlist over there of all the past shows I've done. Get a little bit more education into the area. Until next time, guys, this is Mark. Have a good one.